It's now time for another episode of the Off-Road Toolbox. A Jeepers guide to everything off-road. Powered by Best Price Trailers.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Off-Road Toolbox. We are here to talk about the month of May. What is it, Bart?
Well, it's Hurricane Preparedness.
Yes, sir.
It starts soon. I guess June 1st it starts?
Yeah, June 1st will be the official time, but there's always stuff kind of perking its head up down there in Mexico area.
You see Mike's weather page? Yeah. He had some stuff on that.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, this is not going to be a fun year.
Well, I heard some other things because of the weather. The water temperatures are 2 degrees cooler.
Yeah.
So they're saying that the Gulf, we may not get. Here's the thing of what I heard: there may not be hurricanes going into the Gulf as much.
Correct.
They might be moving more up the coast.
Follow the Gulf Stream
Follow
up the
that
edge,
way. Yeah.
Going up the East Coast. That's a very, very possible. But then again, you got to remember it's going to build its steam from way down in the Caribbean.
Yeah, and then work its way up. Hopefully,
and then Mother Nature does whatever she wants to do.
Exactly. That we always have to be prepared, right? But there's been a few years where they kind of go and they spin out.
Yeah. They spin out. They go over to
That's what we're kind of hoping for. Now Matthew went right along the coast, and we got the dirty side.
Well, what I was reading too is they're saying that even all the way up in New York area, Jersey,
they're the ones that
they're
need to
talking
worry
about
that
they need to worry.
Yeah.
Because things are pushing more so up there. It's not so much the climate itself; it's just the cycle.
Yeah.
You know?
And let's take a look at North Carolina. Western North Carolina got wiped out from the remnants of a hurricane.
Yep.
So no matter where you are, Texas has. Actually, it's gone all the way up through central parts of our country. They've had the effects from a hurricane.
Yeah, because once it hits the land, it don't mean it just dies.
Yes, they may
it
not
spins and it goes wherever it wants to go at that point.
They may not get 100-mile-an-hour winds, but they get 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds with 12 to 2 feet, 12 feet to 20 inches of rain. And that causes lots of problems.
And when I talk to some friends who live up north, and they always ask, man, that's some pretty intense winds. And even if the winds aren't that intense, it's not just the intense winds, it's the duration of the wind. If the storm is slow.
Could be hours.
Yeah, you're talking about, 80, 90-mile-an-hour winds. Those aren't, is that a hurricane, 90 mile an hour?
75 and up.
Yeah, 75 and up.
Yep.
You get those, even those gusts.
Yes.
But you have that going on for 6 hours.
Yes.
Or 3 hours or 4 hours, anything like that. Anything that's overgrown and you haven't had a storm in a while, that's going to come down. They can't take that stuff.
Well, like in Florida, we're all sand. We're not a true soil that you would think of like up in the Midwest.
Right.
So it doesn't hold root systems very well.
Right.
And once you get that rain, it decompacts.
Yep.
And everything gets loosey-juicy and away it goes.
Not to mention the erosion on the beach.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean,
look
we're still dealing with it.
Yeah.
And
here in Daytona.
Yeah, we've been, we've been dealing with it for years now because we had 1 year, it was 2 years ago. I don't think we were lucky enough not to get one here. But not around us. There were people obviously impacted in Florida.
Oh, without a doubt.
But this coast wasn't necessarily hit a couple of years ago. But last year, of course, was. It was not good. And the year before that, 3 years ago, we had those two. I think it was Irma and Ian.
Ian and Irma.
Yeah,
yep.
those, and they came like within couple of weeks of each other.
Yeah, came across from the Gulf Coast.
I got a new roof out of that.
Yeah.
Not that but
I mean, Mother Nature can be very cruel at times.
Yes.
And the biggest thing that we want to talk about is just being prepared. I mean,
having a plan.
We've
weathered hurricanes.
Oh, without a doubt.
So
for me, since the 60s for me.
Yes. For me, for a long time, whether it's New England, we didn't get hit that bad, but
you got the nor'easters.
Nor'easters, we did. But I've been in Florida since 1980. So I've had a few.
You've had,
I've had a few. And I've had to work them. I didn't get,
here's an interesting
thing.
Interesting thing for me, I've been here since 2006. I went through, Matthew was the first one for me. And that one, actually, I didn't go through that one. I was actually in Mexico Beach before it got totaled by a hurricane the following year or two.
Yeah.
I had a wedding to go to. Anyway, I came back to the destruction, and I've been through those ever since, and I've been working through them because I've been lucky enough. Internet never went down. Power All my lines are underground, and I'm on the grid for an emergency shelter because I'm near a school.
Yep.
So we never lost power, and it's just eerie having in neighborhood areas.
Yes, all the way around. Like we lose power. I never used to.
If there's a telephone pole in your hood,
Well, I have underground, but I have underground lines.
Oh, you
too.
do? Okay.
But a block away, they're all above.
now
And
right-
people who don't maintain trees. So if you have trees that are over power lines,
Now's
come
the
on,
time to do it.
folks. Trim them back, cut them back. Don't
have
be
Thin them out.
don't be the Blue Falcon. You know,
Blue Falcon.
the Blue Falcon's a military term, and all the military people. Well, don't be the Jody.
Yep.
What's the Jody?
It's like a Karen. It's like you screw everybody over because you don't want to do your job.
My girlfriend's name is Jody. I'm going to remember that.
You will. Don't be a Jody.
So I call her the Blue Falcon.
She might not know what it is. But
Well, I don't even know what it is, but if I say
You do
that,
now.
Blue Falcon,
As long as she doesn't listen to this,
she's not going to be real happy about that.
sorry, Jody, the real Jody. Sorry, you're not. You're sweet, but there's other people that just don't care about other. My next door to my neighbor to my mom.
Yeah.
This lady wouldn't. You know, her trees were blowing over the power lines, and she wouldn't trim them. We even said, "Hey, can you?" No. Storm came through. Guess what? Limb came down, took out that, and that was out for 4 days because of her.
We
That one
had,
limb.
where I'm at, I'm lucky because in the areas where I'm at, the developments were like built every 10 to 20 years.
right.
From like the 40s. My house was built in the late 70s. And before that, the last bunch of homes was the block right over. I can see them right across the street from the 60s.
Yeah.
Those have telephone poles. Those hurricanes that I've been through, since 06, they've lost power for maybe 10 days.
Yeah.
week.
You can. Yeah.
You hear their generators going
Yes.
and they don't have any power, and I hear that, and here I am right across the street, and I've got full power, I've got internet and everything. I kind of feel guilty.
Don't feel guilty.
Well, I don't. I'm just saying that because we're, but
Yeah, I mean, for instance, Panama City, I lived up there in the 80s, and we never had storms. Well, we just had that major storm that came through there after
Wrecked
Mexico
it.
Beach.
Yeah,
it
done.
wrecked it.
Yep.
The place where I lived at was called the Cove, and it had beautiful oaks. Well, there's no oaks there anymore.
they're gone. Those will be first
They're
ones to go down.
gone.
Especially those water oaks.
Yep.
You know, the live oaks, I think, are more
Ours were mixed.
okay.
I mean, they drape over the roads and everything else. But I mean, even some of the party boats I worked on as a kid, they were blown up into the marshes. Oh, yeah. That's how
Whoa.
bad it was.
Yeah.
So,
There's video. They had video after the Mexico Beach.
Mexico Beach.
And that's up in the Panhandle
Yep.
for those
Yep.
who are listening from. That's up, the Panhandle.
Yep.
They had videos of the water that was rising way up. And I had a wedding I went to the year prior, before that ended up happening. So you go to Google Maps, and at that time, they had video. You could see the destruction. There's like, if you go through you drive through it all, you look at the maps, you see the destruction from the building to building. You can look at the blocks, and it was just decimated.
That's
The
like,
places we stayed at, the places where relatives were married, gone.
Yeah.
Where they stayed, and all.
that's like one of my buddies that worked with me down in Orlando. He was on the beach side
Right.
during one of the storms. Well, the water was rising coming up over the banks, and it was knocking on his door. And he's got video of it. In fact, he was national with,
no kidding.
with the interview for it.
Wow.
Because he was just trying to show how devastating it was. And he goes, I shouldn't have stayed. I was
Yeah.
stupid.
Yep.
So
If you're in a coastal flood area, think about it. But where are you going to go? And then when do you
inland.
leave?
Inland.
I agree. But everything's going to be packed.
Yeah.
So if you think you have to leave or you think you're going to evacuate, you better have a plan 5 days out. Like, okay, 5 days out, if we have to go, where are we going to go? And then maybe get a hotel reservation.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you this, 3 days from when the storm is expected to hit landfall, you better pack up and get on the road. Because the later you wait, the
worse it gets. I mean, when they were coming out of Tampa for
There
the
you
storms,
go. Last year.
I mean, they were coming up I-4, and it was 6 to 8 hours of them sitting on I-4.
Correct.
So it's like, you got to think ahead.
You got to plan way ahead.
I mean,
plan your routes, and believe me, right now, all these days, all your routes are going. Even your primary, secondary, and tertiary routes are going to get backed up.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. You need to
There's more cars.
You got to have a backup plan. You really need.
And so I'm just saying, even if you go 3 days in advance and you stay there, hey, you're safe, everything's good, you're comfortable, you're ahead of the curve on the traffic.
Yep. And then you're going to have to wait a couple of days because everybody's going to be trying to get back in to see what the damage is.
Yep.
So, plan a
Plan
week.
smart, yeah. So in one of the hurricanes, when I had to stay and my family left, the goal was they were going to go to Atlanta. Well, guess what?
Atlanta was full.
Well, we had a place to go. My sister lived up there, but just to go from here to Ocala was 4.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that's like an hour drive.
But
that's
guess what?
about
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half drive. Yeah,
But I know a shortcut through the woods.
we do. Actually, we do.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Long story was they made our neighbor who was with them had contacts. Then they ended up getting a place.
Oh.
So they ended up just instead of going all the way up to Atlanta, and we've gone to Atlanta before in storms.
Maybe up around Highway 10.
Yep.
Lake
But
City area.
they stayed and it was all good, and I did my job here, and they were able to come back. But yeah, something to think about.
So if you do stay, some of the emergency supplies that you should have
Exactly.
by the month of May, which is right now,
Right
Yep.
now,
would be gallon of water per person
Per day. Yep. And you don't know how many days it's going to last because you got to stop and think about, okay, it's going to hit us on day one.
Right.
Am I going to lose power? Am I going to have water?
Right.
Am I going to have a way to drink this water that's there? This is all stuff that we talked about in the past.
or I got a swimming pool. I got plenty of water, but is that drinkable
that's
water?
not drinkable. Yeah.
Okay,
But
exactly.
you have your little.
I can purify it.
yeah.
Oh
you
yeah,
have-
dude.
We have talked about that in episodes past.
Yep.
Yeah.
About how you can do that.
I can purify the pool water. Actually, my I have a
Even the straw will do
yes.
it.
So, but I have a well for watering my yard, but my well goes down to the aquifer. It's like 157 feet.
Right.
That water's beautiful,
Pristine.
Yeah, it is. But even then, I would still treat it.
Yeah, because you're going to get the storm runoff that's going to work its way down there, and you don't know what's going to be
We
in it.
don't. And I, I have a generator. My generator with my interlock switch, I can run my pump. I can, and
Yep.
even if you have a pool, if you're not running that pump, that water's going to get bad real quick.
Right.
So those are all things about generator, spare fuel, batteries,
Food, non-perishable.
non-perishable.
Canned food is usually the best.
Protein bars.
Beans and weenies are always a hit.
Plenty of propane if you have a grill.
It's funny because I usually eat those before the storm because they're there.
But
that's a personal problem.
Here's the thing: your vehicle. If you don't put it in the garage, how do you park it?
Park it sideways against the garage door.
You can. That'll help
That's-
keep
That'll
it.
help.
That's
So-
the way that's what I do with Jody.
Or get
the
a
Blue
bunch of-
Falcons car. Sorry, Jody.
Or get a bunch of inflatables and put over the windows.
I'm just saying the nose.
kidding. I'm kidding.
The nose of your car. The front end where the radiator is. Try to protect it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put
Because-
that as close as you can to the garage.
To whatever.
Yeah,
And the
or
reason-
whatever, yeah.
So if you're going to park sideways, you can put another vehicle. So if you protect your radiator, those branches, twigs, even pebbles, even small
yeah.
rocks, at 100 miles an hour, they're going through your radiator. They go through your radiator.
You ain't going nowhere.
You're not driving.
You're stuck.
You're stuck. So that's something to think about for how you just park your vehicle, cover it. And if you have a Jeep, just go get one of those. They make some really good tarps or vehicle covers.
Yeah.
And one of mine lasts through 3 hurricanes. That one was the best. The ones I've gotten afterwards have ripped apart. Yeah. But they keep my Jeep because Jeeps are going to leak.
As long as you get it to hold for once.
That's it.
It's
believe
worth
me,
the it's worth the
It's
money.
really worth it.
All right, so going through these supplies again, you got a manual can opener. I guess that would make sense.
Well, you know what? There's some people don't have a man.
yeah, yeah.
Was it P91?
P38 or P51. Those
Yeah,
are two,
51.
the large and small little military can openers.
All right, first aid kit, also the prescriptions that you need.
Yep.
What about
Make
for your
sure those-
pets?
Same thing.
You're right.
Yeah.
You need extra dog food or cat food or whatever food, plus
Right.
their meds, whatever meds they need.
Yep.
Some doggy downers.
Yep.
Flashlights, batteries.
Yes.
Yep. Because
Make
you're
sure
going to use
those
those
are-
at night. Just
or
to,
charge up your chargeable.
Yes.
Make sure they're all charged if you've got the
Yes.
charging battery.
Cash is king.
Cash is always king because ATMs could be down.
Yes.
make sure it's small bills.
Yes.
Don't go
Yes.
don't go walking around with $50 bills in
Or
there.
hundreds or anything. No, no.
because you ain't getting no change back.
No, get ones, fives, tens, 20s. Yes.
Don't forget to charge your battery on your phone.
Very much so. And the power banks, those
Yeah.
little power banks.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see here. So before the storms are even coming, there's a cutoff date, a cutoff time that you can insure your home for.
True. So if you don't have insurance now.
If you don't have insurance now, or you think that you're in a flood zone or whatever, because we're finding flood zones that we haven't seen in 100 years.
or 500 years.
They just went through recently the Army Corps of Engineer, I believe, and redid the flood zones, at least for the area that I'm in. They may have done it nationally.
They've done
all
it
state. They do
for Florida, where I live at. They did it 3 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
But now I wasn't in a flood zone, but now I am.
Really?
But I don't flood, so I'm not worried about it.
I'm lucky. I'm up. Actually, my house is on a hill. My driveway goes way
Yes,
up.
you
So
are.
I'm real lucky in that regard. I'm not in a flood zone. However, I still pay for flood insurance. Just
I do too.
because, Just
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
to cover your CYA.
But just keep in mind that you're 3 days out from the storm, thinking that you're going to up your insurance. It ain't happening.
No, once it gets named. Once
Yep,
it gets named.
Once it gets named,
Name
exactly.
storm, forget it. You're done. That's it until.
So do it now.
Yeah, until
look
the
at
end
your
of the season.
policy. Look everything over.
Once you see that low starting to spin up, go, yeah.
Just take a look.
Take a look. Look at Mike's weather page.
Yes.
There's a lot of good tools on there that you can look and see the possibility of where it's going to go. I mean, it's all a roll of the dice, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yes.
Photograph all your valuables. God forbid your roof comes off. Now it's ruined everything inside
Yes.
the house.
And if you don't have pictures,
If you don't have pictures or receipts or whatever,
you're
then-
not going to have. How many people have receipts for the couches, TVs,
No,
computers?
mine's 20 years old, and
Yeah.
I have none of that.
Also, make sure you have your policies
Yep.
Yep.
somewhere. where you-
Waterproofed.
Yeah. You have them somewhere accessible.
Let's see here. Check your sump pumps if you have a basement or whatever, just so you don't fill up with water.
Fill up your propane tanks.
Yes.
Also, your gas cans.
Yeah.
Multiple. Yes.
Yeah, both.
And a suggestion there is when you start seeing, like right now, I got 30 gallons of fuel that are already in containers ready to go and stabilized
Yes.
for the whole hurricane season.
Yes.
Then I take that out and dump it in my Jeep, and away I go.
I rotate mine out. So I always have fuel. I always have fuel because you never know when power's going to go out. Tornadoes, you don't know. So I always have fuel. And I do rotate mine out. If I travel, I like the military gas cans better than the other gas cans because I can put them in the car and they don't leak and smell. And then, so I told you in one previous story, I gave them both my kids. And both kids, they got stuck. And they pulled off area.
We talked about that
They
in an
fueled up
episode
and,
past.
and,
yeah.
and then they got to a gas station out of the because everybody ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
And all gas stations, all the lines. So that's great advice.
And something too is I use the race containers. Well, now they make a little device that you drop in top of it and hit the button.
Yeah,
and it fills it up.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to fight with it. So
No.
if you have a hard time picking weight up, that's
Yes.
something to look at.
Yes.
And it will work even for the small 5 gallons, and I believe for 3 gallons.
And
It's-
even
it's-
for your generator, whatever
Yep.
you want to gas up,
Yep.
it makes it easier.
Let's see here. Important documents, of course, your insurance, photo IDs, medical records. But most of those are electronic now.
Those are pretty good now.
So, I mean, half a dozen of the other, you
Yes.
decide in that sense. Mortgage information, emergency contacts.
Yes.
I
Let
mean-
your family know when you're going. So
Exactly.
if you're staying, let them know. And if you're bugging out, let them know. And when you get to your safe location, let them know.
Correct. For your pets, your immunizations.
Oh, you're going to need that for the shelters.
Yep. Because if you're going to a shelter, if you can't show that, they won't let that
They won't
animal
abduct it.
inside.
Correct.
For the week of the storm, you're going to charge all your electrics.
Yes.
Freeze some water.
Good idea.
I usually use gallon jugs. I probably do like 5 of them, throw them in my big freezer, and at least I got something to keep my food cool.
I do a lot of ice bags. A few days beforehand, I start putting the ice in like Ziploc bags and putting them in the freezer.
You can
Just
do
keep
that.
going that rotation.
Turn your freezer to the coldest setting before the storms.
Good idea.
That hard freezes everything, and
Yeah.
it usually takes 3 or 4 days for it to
Yeah.
start to feel like it's thawing out.
Yep. It does. Yeah.
Board your windows up, of course. Don't buy your plywood and use it during the year for a project and then go, oh, I need plywood because there ain't going to be none.
Yeah. No.
I mean, move your valuables, electronics or whatever, get them up off the floor.
Yeah.
Computers, wrap them in plastic bags. There's all kinds of things like that you want to do inside the house just in case.
And your generator, run it beforehand, and then it's called pickling. So if you don't use your generator, there's different theories. I run mine dry, run it through the choke, I run everything out, And then I've never had a problem all the years I've owned generators since the 90s of it firing back up, usually within 3 pulls. Now I have an electric start. but with 3 pulls, and it's running because I store it correctly.
Right.
You know, some people do Stay-Bill and everything else. I just drain
I
mine.
tried Stay-Bill and it bit me.
So I drain it.
Didn't work?
It gummed up the carburetor, didn't it?
It gummed up the carburetor.
Yep. And if you're not familiar with how to take your carburetor apart and clean it and do it and put it back,
Especially after when you need it, it's the wrong time.
It's the wrong
to learn.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the wrong time.
So if you right now walk outside, go try it and see what it does.
Correct.
If it doesn't work, then run it to your small.
Get it fixed. I usually, and if you're going to have a generator, you better have oil because after 50, 60 hours of running, you got to change the oil. People don't think about that.
Nope.
Spare spark plugs for those.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't know that.
Chainsaw. Make sure if you have a chainsaw, you know how to use it. You're not going to cut yourself all up. Have a spare chain. Again, the 2-stroke oil or electric. If you have the batteries, make sure they're charged.
Well, now they're 4 strokes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got
they
a
don't.
4-stroker.
Yeah, they make there's 4 strokes.
Let's
now.
show you how old I am. I still have 2-stroke.
See, now you can.
I don't even have the
upgrade.
battery.
You can upgrade.
And I'm going to go back to the generators. When you're running your generator, don't hot swap it into your fuse panel.
Correct.
Because it will generate back down the line. And if somebody's
back
by
feed the
it,
line. There's a lot of things. So I agree with you. With the generator, make sure you have the interlock kit or the generator kit. So that once you flip it to generator, the power doesn't.
it kills it from going away
It
from the
goes
house.
back out.
A good electrician will be able to guide you the right
That
way.
and make sure it depends on what system you have. Do you need to have your generator ungrounded? Because some you have to be grounded, and other ones you have to be ungrounded to go through your circuit.
Correct.
I learned that lesson, but I didn't blow anything up.
Oh, you didn't learn the hard way.
I did not learn the hard way. So I changed from a generator box to an interlock, and so that in my generator box, I didn't have to unground it, and now I have to unground my new one.
Right.
But if you have your friends, your neighbors plug into it, they need to know it because everybody's going to want a cord.
Of course.
So hey, it's not grounded, so
You get a surge, it's on you, not me.
Correct.
But yeah, that's one of the big things that you guys want to be aware of. As you said, fill the bathtub with water.
Yes.
Flush the toilet. Use it for flushing toilet.
Yes.
That's it.
Correct. Generator, propane, gas grill. Make sure everything is secure, doesn't blow around.
Yep.
You have water. Well, actually, storage water, poop water, flushing water, washing water. 1 liter bottles of water you can actually bathe in.
Oh, I can.
I'm
I'm from the Navy, remember? I have to hold it. You got 30 seconds.
Yeah. So we used to have 1 liter bottles that we would put out in the sun to get warm when we lose our power, which was a lot. So we'd warm the bottle up, and I could wet myself down and lather up and then rinse myself off with a 1 liter bottle. Many a time. Things to think about like that. Your generators, having everything, your food. Where is it? Can you get to it? Spare meds.
Sandbags.
If you need
sandbags, by all means.
Your city where you live in usually has.
Yeah, but
places
you're only
to go.
limited to like 10.
Right.
So the best thing to do is go to a Home Depot or Lowe's now.
Yeah.
Grab a stack of bags. They'll cost you $50 to $1 a piece.
Yep.
Well worth it if you need them. Have them fill. Have sand close by that you can go fill in. You're good to go.
Did you see the picture in Tennessee? The storms, I think it was the storm. I've seen a couple of these, but they mentioned the one that they just had some major rain.
They said some flooding, yeah.
Yeah.
One guy around his property lined up the whole house with sandbags. It's a lake around him except around his house.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Because of sandbags.
Yes.
Well, there is a water diverter system that they use at Tampa General that when it rose 6 foot, but the hospital was fine.
That's great.
Yeah. It's
That's
a wall
really good.
that water pushes up against it and it goes nowhere. So
And then I know people use plastic to line the sandbags so that it doesn't seep through the sandbags. So,
So with that, I think that's going to cover this part right now. And we got some more stuff here in the next show coming up.
all right, everybody.
All
Be
right.
safe.
Be safe and think ahead.
And there you have it. Don't you feel smarter now? We'll drop more knowledge on you soon. Thanks for listening to the Off-Road Toolbox, powered by Best Price Trailers.